What happens to a human being when they decide to let go of their dreams or give up on their dreams?
Well, they diminish themselves to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Read a quote, I can't remember who said this, but it's if you can't overcome the obstacles in your path, it's probably not your path.
Mm. So how do we know when to give up on a goal?
Yeah.
How do we know, like, okay, this big thing is in my heart and I feel like I'm supposed to go for it. I'm so excited, so I'm going to pursue it for 6 months or a year or 5 years. But when do we know to let go of the goal or the dream?
That's the big question. It's a tough one too.
Yeah.
It was it, and there was a book that came out a couple of years back called Quit.
Mm.
Did you read it? It's Amy Duckworth, I think.
Okay.
Angela Duckworth.
Yeah.
I didn't sound right.
She wrote the book called Grit also, right? She wrote a book called Grit? Or no, the key thing, I think she wrote a book called Grit, or that was like her key kind of distinction.
And I may not even have the name right on this anyway,
Okay.
but there was a book that came out a couple of years ago called Quit.
Uh-huh.
And it's about this whole thing of how can you know when to quit, which is a very, very big, important question.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells some interesting things in it. She talks about poker players, which is where she kind of got into this whole idea of how to quit, when to quit. And she talks about how, let's say if you're playing Texas Hold'em poker, so you get some initial cards. You already had the ante to be in the game. There was just some table stakes. Okay. So that's out there. So you already got some sunk costs. All right. But then you get 3 cards, I think it is, in Texas Hold'em is your first dealt cards.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at those, and they said that the expert players, I think the statistic was only 12% of the time they stay in the game. And the more novice players, the weaker players, they will stay in longer.
And they'll lose more.
Yeah, because of this sunk cost thing. And they don't understand the odds. There's a lot going on there in the game, of course, but it's a tough question. When do you know you should quit? What's giving up and is selling yourself out versus I gave it a fair shot. It's not a good plan for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to redirect myself, cut my losses, and so forth. How do you know? I don't know that. Maybe you got an answer on this. What would you say?
Oh man, I think for me, it would be one that the drive is not in your heart as much anymore. Like if the obstacles are so big that you're just not excited to endure the pain. Like you have to be excited to endure the pain, the challenges, the setbacks, the failures. And you have to enjoy it, I think. You have to enjoy it. Maybe you don't love it, but you have to be like, I know it's part of the process, and I still have this fantasy, this dream, this love for the idea of reaching the mountaintop of the goal that I have. And I'm enjoying the process. If you're not enjoying the process, I think it's just going to be that much harder. So I think that's part of it. Yeah. I think the second part is like, have I exhausted every possible avenue that I can think of? And even then, have I continued to go when I think I've exhausted everything? If so, do I still love it? Then let me keep going. If I don't, then maybe not. Maybe there's a time frame also, or maybe there's just like, I have so many other things happening in my life that also demand my time, where this is just hurting everything in my life. All my relationships are broken because of this thing. So there might be a number of factors there, but part of me is like, I just never want to be the one that has a goal or a dream and gives up too early because it's hard. Yeah. And then I regret it forever. Have you ever had a dream or goal so big that you gave up on it too early that you still regret today on giving up on it?
Yeah, I got one that's such that I'm not going to talk about. I will tell you. Yeah.
That you gave up on?
I gave up on.
Years ago?
Ages ago.
You won't share it? Why? Because it's too painful, or because you feel like...
Yeah, I mean, that's how deep it cut.
Really?
Yeah, that's how deep I cut myself, Now, I don't think it was good casting for me in the first place.
It wasn't the right goal.
Right.
Okay.
But I wanted it to be.
Mm.
You know, kind of thing.
Was it more ego-driven versus heart-driven?
Yeah.
So it wasn't the right goal in the first place?
No, it really wasn't.
So
I wanted it to be.
you wanted it to
Right.
be. Your ego wanted it,
Yeah.
but your heart is kind of like,
Right.
let it go.
Right.
But is there anything that your heart really like fell in love with? Not your ego, but your heart, that you never pursued to at least see, is there a chance I could accomplish this? That you ever
Maybe
regret
writing a novel,
But you still have the opportunity to do that.
I still have the opportunity to do it.
You said a maybe. Is that like a big thing on your heart that you really want to do? Or is it more like, it'd be cool to do this thing?
Well, I think yeah, there's that. Absolutely.
But your heart's not screaming at you like
No.
you have to be a novel.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I've had good success,
Yeah.
you know, in writing, and I enjoy it. I think it is a talent of mine. And so, but I know it's kind of a practical call, a rational,
Yes.
sensible.
But I'm talking about the irrational dream in your heart. Is there anything you regret from?
I don't know if this would fit your thing. I always wanted to own a corporate jet.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. And that never came around.
Okay.
Now, I never, I guess, went at it.
Strategically and like,
No.
you never went all in.
No, I
You
didn't.
never said, okay, this is what I want. I'm going to do everything I can in the next 3 to 5 years
Yeah.
to map this out, to be around everyone I know
Exactly.
who's got a jet.
Exactly.
To figure out, you would have bought one.
So,
You would have figured that out.
yeah,
It was a ego nice thing.
it was
to
one of those
have.
things I didn't follow my own rules
Exactly.
because it's like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Just get that out of your head.
Quantum
Bryce.
leap. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to know.
I know. I know.
If it was incremental, it'd be too easy, you know?
Yeah. You know, you said something a minute ago about, I was reading this book by Scott Adams, the guy that wrote Dilbert cartoons, you know,
Uh-huh.
and he's written a good book about how I succeeded at almost everything and how I failed at almost everything and still succeeded, I think is the name of it. That's close enough. But he talks in there about this thing about passion. And is passion a good signal for your goal selection? And he said, here's what I found. I found that passion is closely tied to talent. And as long as you're really talented in some zone, it's easy to have passion for it. But he said, if you want to see passion fade, let the failure start hitting.
Mm.
Let's say you got a passion to be an entrepreneur, okay? And you're into it 3 years, 5 years.
And you lose all your
deep,
money.
And it's just not working. Watch the passion
You're
fade.
not passionate anymore.
Right. And it gets back to this quitting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, finding that proper spot.
So do you think, in his mind or in your mind, do you think we should be following our passion or following our talent?
They're probably usually connected, and that your talent is probably your first signal.
To pursue that,
Yeah.
to follow that thing.
Yeah. He writes about he wanted to become a famous cartoonist.
Uh-huh.
And this idea of setting a goal and keeping it front of mind that I talk about in Lucky You, he said, I wasn't any good as an artist. He said, I was no good. So it had
He
to
didn't
be
have the
simple.
talent. He didn't have the talent.
He didn't have the talent, but he loved the idea of being a cartoonist. And he had thought through some real good reasons for that. It didn't require a lot of infrastructure. You didn't have to hire a lot of
Yeah,
people.
just him,
You know,
pen and the paper. Yeah.
And so there was all this stuff. But anyway, how he went at it, he started writing, I think it was 15 times every day. He would write down, I, Scott Adams, will become a famous cartoonist.
Wow.
15 times a day. Every day. 15 times. So that's clarity of goal. That's keeping the goal front of mind. That's being optimistic. And there was relentless pursuit. He started moving in that direction. He said his first stuff was terrible. you know. He talks about the mistakes he made.
Yeah.
And it's a fun book. You'd enjoy
What's
it.
it called again?
I think it's How I Failed at Almost Everything and Still Succeeded.
Scott Adams. Huh?
Yeah, Scott Adams.
You have this, we're talking about luck here. Your book, Lucky You, you have a number of books. One of my favorite is U Squared. And for those that didn't watch the first episode we did, I had Bob Proctor on a number of years ago before he passed. And I asked him, what are the 3 books that every human being should read that have helped him? And he'd read thousands of books. And he mentioned your name in U Squared. And I never heard about you. Maybe this was 2018 or 2017, 2019. And I was like, U Squared. And then I finally came back around to it a couple of years later, and I read the book, and we connected ever since then. And it's a life-changing book, and you have a number of companions to it. But the most recent one is called Lucky You, a psychological strategy for multiplying luck and achieving your big ambitions. In the book, you've got a graph that talks about what contributes most to career success. And I don't know if this is towards all success in life or more just towards career. And it's a graph that is a generalized synthesis drawn from research in behavioral economics, psychology, and sociology. It's a reasonable estimate, not a precise formula. But in this graph, it talks about luck being the number one factor that contributes towards career success, 30 to 50% range of luck. Then you have effort and work ethic that is 30 to 40% range. Then you have social capital / opportunity as 10 to 20%. Then you have talent or IQ, which is 10 to 20%. And in the same book by Nassim Taleb, he says luck is most frequently the reason for extreme success. And I remember interviewing a friend of mine, Scooter Braun, who is a big music artist, a music talent manager, who kind of discovered Justin Bieber and managed Ariana Grande and kind of all the biggest pop stars of our generation. And I was like, what's the key to your success? And he was like, it's luck. You know, and obviously it's hard work. I mean, he grinded for years and he did all the right things, and he was willing to put more time and energy into anything else than most people. But it was like, you know, finding Justin Bieber at the right time, and then taking the actions to really mold and, you know, shepherd him in his career and building that. And then that created another opportunity with other artists, and then bigger talent came in, and then it snowballed the momentum. But maybe it would have taken him decades if he didn't have that right timing, that opportunity, that synchronicity that created that relationship. Who knows? Or maybe none of this would ever happen for him. But why is luck such a big thing towards success in life?
If we talked about the biggest success story in your life, or my life, or anybody else's, it would be that moment of conception. Okay? Let's look at this.
Being born.
I wrote a blog about this.
Yeah.
Your greatest success story ever. So you had 2 parents. You have a mother and a father. Well, the mother, the maximum number of egg follicles that she will have in her life is supposedly between 6 and 8 million eggs. Okay. You were one of those gametes. 1 out of 6 to 8 million. Okay.
The amount of sperm
and
your father
the sperm
has.
is quadrillions.
Trillions.
Quadrillions.
Quadrillions.
So you're that gamete number 2. We'll call this first gamete the wonder egg, and then we'll call this gamete number 2 the super sperm.
Yeah.
1 out of quadrillions. Okay, those odds are just absurd to begin with, but then the
coming
connection
together
at that perfect timing. I mean, you will never again be that lucky on anything. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
true.
I was having lunch. I guess the first time that this whole idea of luck even came into my notion really was I was having lunch at Cafe Pacific in Dallas with a real good friend of mine. He was the chief economist at the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank. And his wife is from Ecuador, and charming couple, lovely people. And we were sitting, just having a nice lunch, Patty and I, and that couple. And just in the course of conversation, she turned to me and she said, Bryce, what would you say is the number one thing that accounts for your success? You've had a successful career, you know what? And it just came out of nowhere. I said, luck. And both of them just looked at me like, what? And I said, well, stop. And then I started to just kind of reason through where that came from. And I said, okay, look, first of all, I was born in America. That's a real advantage.
Yeah.
Secondly, I had good parents. Third, I didn't have any major disabilities or anything. Brain functions well enough. And you just go on and on and on, and you look at these things, and anybody that's alive is unbelievably good fortune. But there are things that we can do to engineer luck into our life. It does not have to be, we shouldn't allow it to be just a random event. It's a random thing, but it's too important to ignore.
Mm.
And so,
Because people just say, oh, they got lucky. They had this opportunity. But you're saying that there is a strategic or scientific way that we can influence more luck in our lives. Is that right?
absolutely.
So how do we create more?
First of all, we
Luck.
tell luck what we want.
We tell luck what we want.
Yeah, that's that big goal. Tell luck what you're shooting for.
Mm.
When you set that goal in that clarity, get it out of your head and down on paper, all of a sudden, you may be surrounded by luck. So that's one thing you can do. Tell luck what you want. The next thing, luck plays favorites.
Mm.
Luck has a bias. Luck prefers the optimists.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because first of all, they see luck's opportunities when he lays them in front of him. And secondly, the optimist will take the chances.
That's true.
Well, luck
Pessimist will be like, I don't believe that's a good, I'm not going to take that. Or that person, what do they really want from me? They're trying to break
luck
this
gets
opportunity.
pissed off when you refuse its chances.
Mm.
And if your heart's not in it, back to that goal thing, luck doesn't get very interested either. It goes looking for someone that's fevered up, man.
It's excited.
Someone that is cranked in there, and luck wants to see you working.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing anything, luck gets disinterested and goes try to find somebody that's going to put some energy into this.
Yes.
So, tell luck what you want. Believe in it. Be positive. You know, when luck comes before you, do something with it. Third thing, most of your lucky breaks in life will come via people you know somehow. Maybe someone you just met, or someone you hardly know. In fact, a lot of times that happens.
The weak ties.
Yeah, the weak ties.
Why is it more the weak ties where luck comes from versus the strong ties?
If it's your strong ties, you've already checked those out. You know
Known them for a long time. Yeah, yeah.
You know, if they've had an opportunity for you, it's already been explored.
Yeah.
You need to be in circulation socially because luck doesn't come looking for you. It wants to see you out in the world. It's kind of like, don't go fishing in your bathtub. You know, you're not, if you're trying to become a famous artist, but you'll put a few of your paintings up on the walls of your garage and leave the door open.
Yeah.
Luck,
It's not enough.
No. And so you need to be out there, and you need to be in new, fresh, different experiences. And those things are big. Then you need to give your mind time to speak to you, your deep mind. You could call this giving yourself a meditative period every day.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a long, slow walk, not trying to work on a problem, just letting your mind. But in our coaching and training stuff around U squared and the quantum leap strategy, we talk about the quantum leap ritual. And it's just setting aside a chunk of time every day, probably at the same time of day. Sit down, clear your mind, let the prefrontal cortex go offline, and let the theta and alpha waves start to play. And this is where the deep mind, it kind of opens the door and it lets things seep up from your unconscious. And
Yes.
and it's probably the closest to magic in terms of creating luck for yourself. There are several others that we talk about in the book, but one last one that I could mention, bring luck to other people.
That's so good.
We live in a world of reciprocity. You can call it karma. You can call it what goes around comes around. But what Emerson talked about, in his essay, Compensation, he talks about we will be compensated for how we
Compensate others.
How we compensate others.
Zig Ziglar says, if you want to achieve any goal, help everyone else achieve their goals.
Yeah.
Something like that too,
And the interesting thing is it's uplifting to you. Just the act of giving.
Service, giving.
It brings all of these positive chemicals alive in your body, the dopamine, the serotonin, oxytocin, and all this kind of stuff. And that makes you more willing to accept risks. It makes you more optimistic. Those chemicals are working at good things. And so when you're giving to others, you're giving to yourself.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this and you want more inspirational content, make sure to click the subscribe button below and click right here to watch what's coming next.